Dear viewers of the Tom Photo channel, today is one of those great days again when I get to show you another amazing Fuji lens. You might know that I love Fuji lenses, and my today's lens is no less than the Fuji XF 23mm f1.4R itself, a highly regarded piece of engineering. I've been eyeing this lens for a while, but hesitating to pick it up because of its price and also the focal length. You see, I always thought that I was not a great 23mm shooter. I tend to prefer longer focal lengths, even for landscapes. Turns out I was a bit wrong. I've discovered that the 23mm focal length fills an important niche in my photography. A 23mm lens can hardly be a specialized bokeh lens, however low the f-stops go. So I always thought that a bright, whitish lens will not give me very much in addition. I already have the tiny and superb XF 27mm f2.8 anyway. Obviously, what you'll gain is amazing low light capabilities, and that alone could justify the price tag. But I want to emphasize another aspect. When you get close enough to your subject, and you can get as close as 28 centimeters from it, you will see a beautiful bokeh at f1.4. Since this bokeh happens at a wide focal length, you could photograph something wide or put many sharp objects in the frame and still have a good bokeh. And that is unique. People are used to seeing great bokeh with a single object in the foreground. That's generally easy to do with many lenses, but getting a nice bokeh with a lot of objects in the foreground of a panorama-style photo will set you apart. These photos are not as common, so your photos will stand out. The lens's angle of view is 63.4 degrees, but the main use for such a lens for me is for around-the-house photography, kids, pets, food, etc. Indoors, we usually have less light and less space than outdoors, and the XF23 f1.4 takes a big step in the direction of solving both problems. The Fuji XF 23mm lens coupled with a modern Fujifilm camera continues to surprise. I did not expect a 23mm lens to have almost no lens curvature problems. This lens can photograph a square object so that it will appear perfectly square, when you photograph it straight on, of course. This is amazing. With its 7 rounded diaphragm blades, the background is smooth and creamy. They say this lens is small and nicely unnoticeable in street photography. I do not fully agree with that. At 300 grams and 72mm in diameter by 63mm in length, it is kind of large actually. It comes with a mean-looking hood that makes it so much larger still. I like small cameras, and this lens can certainly make them nose heavy. There is a reason why this lens is a bit large and heavy. The reason is its quality. If there is one lens that is built like a tank, this is it. It even looks like a weapon with its shotgun-style ring to switch between manual and autofocus. I'm not specifically a fan of such a clutch-style solution, but it handles and looks really cool. Overall, the lens feels pro-quality. It feels like no compromises have been made. Yet, some compromises have been made. This lens is not weather-sealed. This is not a huge problem, but the new version of this lens, the WR version, has that. So some users may prefer the newer model, although the switch will cost you quite a bit of money. I, for example, could not justify the price difference. Whatever you say about this lens, don't say it before you have seen the images it can produce. This may just take your breath away. The richness of color, sharpness, the overall mood of the images is amazing. I don't care that it is large, a bit expensive, and has no weather sealing. I just want to produce photos with it. It gives my photography new positive energy. The average focusing speed and somewhat noisy motor will mean nothing next to the image quality. I like that the image sharpness is there starting immediately from f1.4. This is not a lens that needs to be stopped down to deliver. No, you can wake up this guy most unexpectedly in the middle of the night and it will deliver for you absolutely immediately and without hiccups. Can Fuji make lenses? Yes, it can. The lens uses a filter size of 62mm. That surprised me a bit because my XF 35mm is using only 52mm filters. Let's look at the sharpness profile of this lens too. For this, I photographed a plywood board at about 1 meter distance very carefully from a tripod. In case you're interested in how I do these experiments and measure the lens sharpness, I refer you to my other videos linked for you down in the text box. For this f-stop versus relative sharpness graph, I standardized all values relative to the largest value. That's why the maximum sharpness value is precisely 1. And we see curious behavior. The lens is sharper wide open than at several larger f-stops after 1.4. This is wonderful news because most people get this lens for its widest aperture. I also saw the same pattern with another insanely amazing Fuji lens, the XF 56mm f1.2. Please also check out that video down in the links. We see that the lens exhibits a sweet spot at f6.4. The lens is ultra sharp between 5 and 6.4. Landscape photographers might be interested in this range. Some people get surprised when I tell them that I'm using a bright prime lens at larger f-stop values. They say that the f1.4 is what you paid all the money for, so use the lens at f1.4. They're only partially right, and only until they have inspected an f6.4 photo up close. At this f-stop, every pixel stands out like a rock. The lens retains very nice sharpness all the way to f16. I'm not certain how much of the possible diffraction is reduced by the software at f16, but the overall result is very nice. The shape, mostly the steepness, of this graph can change a bit depending on how close you are to your subject and also on what your subject is, but the overall pattern of it will remain the same. I know I'm sounding like a broken record when I say that one cannot go wrong with a Fuji lens. With every next lens review, I prove this claim true again and again. I probably don't have to add that I recommend this lens to you. Get it while you still can. A lens doesn't have to be the newest release to be among the best ones out there. I'm pretty anxiously waiting for the spring and summer to arrive because I've made some landscape photography plans for my XF23. I cannot wait to get a few more of those landscape photos where you can see the entire large object and still get a good bokeh. Of course, it takes a photographically inclined eye to see the uniqueness of such a photo, but still. Thank you for your time looking at this nice Fuji lens with me. Drop me a line down below and check out my other links. If you feel like doing it, please subscribe and like. I wish you a great photography time with your own favorite lenses. Goodbye.